Let's take a look at this easy syllogisms question. So all the students in the art class except Daniel enjoy painting. More than one student in the class enjoys sculpting. So these syllogisms questions, quite often it's useful to try and summarize the information in some sort of diagram form. Now I'm going to summarize this as Daniel does not like painting and that sculpting is two or more individuals. We know it's more than one, so it could be two, but it could also be greater than that as well. And then let's take a look at our conclusions. So our first conclusion is that Daniel enjoys sculpting. Now, we don't know that for certain. He could enjoy sculpting, but we are not told in the information. We do not have enough information to be able to draw that conclusion. So that does not follow. If a student in the class does not enjoy sculpting, they must enjoy painting. This conclusion does not follow either, because even though more than one individual enjoys sculpting, there could be individuals such as Daniel that perhaps Daniel doesn't enjoy sculpting and perhaps he doesn't enjoy painting either. So this conclusion does not follow. Number three, if a student in the class does not enjoy painting, it must be Daniel. This is true. We know that all students enjoy painting except Daniel, so the one that doesn't enjoy painting must be Daniel. So this conclusion does follow. And number four, if only two students in the class enjoy sculpting, one must be Daniel. This conclusion does not follow either. If there's only two students, they could be any of the students within the class. We are not told that there is overlap between Daniel and the ones that don't enjoy the ones that enjoy sculpting. So this conclusion does not follow. And then number five, someone in the class enjoys both painting and sculpting. We know that this must be true. Even if Daniel is one of those individuals that enjoys sculpting and doesn't enjoy painting, we know that there are more than one students that enjoy the sculpting, and so that must mean that that must mean there is someone else who does enjoy painting as well. So this conclusion does follow. Let's take a look at this medium difficulty syllogisms question. So all musicians in the city orchestra except Rosa can read sheet music. Now I'm going to summarize that in a kind of diagrammatic way. So I'm going to do 100% minus Rosa equals sheet music. No musician in the orchestra plays more than two instruments. So again, I'm going to summarize that. I'm going to do 0% equals, let's put 2 plus for two or more instruments. The National Symphony only accepts musicians who can read sheet music. And we can summarize that as only those that read sheet music equal or go to the National Symphony. So let's have a look at our conclusions. Rosa plays 3 instruments, so she cannot be in the orchestra. This conclusion does not follow. We know that the individuals that are in the orchestra play 2 or more instruments, do not play 2 or more instruments, and we know that Rosa is in the orchestra, so she must play 2 or fewer instruments. Any musician in the National Symphony must be able to read sheet music. That conclusion does follow, because only those that read sheet music are accepted into the National Symphony. Since David is in the orchestra, he plays no more than 2 instruments. That conclusion also follows. We are told that no musician plays more than 2. If someone cannot read sheet music, they must be Rosa. That also follows. We know that everyone in the orchestra can read the sheet music apart from Rosa, so Rosa is the only one that can't. And Leah can't read sheet music, so she is not in the National Symphony. That conclusion also follows. She's also not in the city orchestra as well, but that's irrelevant at this point. Let's take a look at this hard syllogisms question now. In this museum, not all antique items are considered masterpieces. However, all antique items on display are 200 years old, except for the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin. So let's think about how we can represent this as a diagram. Remember, your diagrams you're going to do on your little mini whiteboard, they don't really need to make much sense to anybody except for you. This is how I might represent this. We have our antique items. Our antique items are either not masterpieces or they are masterpieces. And those antique items are 100% 200 years old, except the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin. So let's take a look at our conclusions. Now, some of the masterpieces in this museum are 200 years old. We can see that the masterpieces are part of that larger group of antiques, and 100% of the antiques are 200 years old. So this conclusion does follow. If the Corinthian bowl is an antique in this museum, it is 200 years old. Now, we know that 100% of the antiques are 200 years old, except for the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin. So any other antique must be 200 years old. So that conclusion does follow. Not all masterpieces in this museum that are 200 years old are antique items. Now, the masterpieces are, not all of the antiques are considered to be masterpieces, but we don't necessarily have information as to whether all of the masterpieces are considered to be antiques. That's the problem here. So this conclusion does not follow. We don't know if there is a larger part, if there is another contributing group to the masterpieces. If a 200-year-old antique item in this museum is a masterpiece, it is neither the Astoria vase nor the Lydian coin. Now, we're told here that we have a 200-year-old antique. Now, this 200-year-old antique cannot be the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin, and they are the only exceptions to that. So this conclusion does follow. And finally, the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin are masterpieces that are either more than 200 years old or less than 200 years old. We don't know whether the Astoria vase and the Lydian coin are considered to be masterpieces. We just know that they are not antiques, or they are antiques that are not 200 years old. So we don't know if they're masterpieces, and so this conclusion does not follow either.